Everyone says buying an apartment is the smart move. But what if that safe decision is quietly draining your money while better options sit right in front of you? What if instead of tying up all your money in one apartment, you could live cheaper, save faster, and build wealth more aggressively without sacrificing your lifestyle? Here's how you can. A smaller home might be the fastest way to make your money feel bigger. Let's start with something that feels almost too simple to be powerful: tiny homes. Now, before you picture squeezing into a shoebox and regretting your life choices, take a second, because the financial math here is actually kind of insane in a good way. A typical apartment in a major city can easily cost anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000 plus dollars. And that's before you even add maintenance fees, property taxes, and the occasional surprise building repairs that somehow always show up at the worst time. A tiny home, on the other hand, can cost anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000, depending on customization and location. That is no small difference. It's a game-changing gap. Now think about income requirements. To afford a $400,000 apartment, you typically need a household income of around $80,000 to $120,000 plus dollars, assuming standard lending ratios. For a $60,000 tiny home, you're looking at something closer to $30,000 to $50,000 income range, sometimes even less if financing is flexible. And here's the part that keeps getting overlooked. Lower cost doesn't just mean easier entry, it means freedom. Lower mortgage, lower bills, lower stress. It's like switching from carrying a heavy backpack all day to suddenly realizing that you can just put it down. Most homes take money from you. This one quietly puts money back into your pocket. Let's step into something a little more strategic. House hacking sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. You buy a property, live in part of it, and rent out the rest. This could be a duplex, a triplex, or even just renting out spare rooms. Now compare that to buying an apartment. When you buy an apartment, your monthly payment flows in one direction, out of your bank account. With house hacking, that flow starts to bend. Let's say your mortgage is $2,000 a month. If you rent out part of your property for $1,200, your actual cost drops to $800 out of pocket. In some cases, rent can cover the entire mortgage or even exceed it. Now your home isn't just a place to live, it's working for you. Income requirement also changes dramatically. Instead of needing a high salary to comfortably afford the full mortgage, you can qualify with a lower income because rental income offsets your costs. This is one of those rare strategies where your living expense starts behaving more like an investment. And once you see that shift, it's hard to go back to the idea of a single-unit apartment that only takes from you every month. Affordable, practical, and way less stressful than a massive mortgage. So, why do people overlook this? Let's talk about something that often gets dismissed too quickly. Mobile homes. They don't have the same status appeal as apartments, but financially, they can be surprisingly efficient. Mobile homes can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000. Making them significantly more accessible than traditional apartments. Even when you factor in land rent or placement fees, total monthly costs are often much lower than apartment ownership. Income-wise, this opens the door for buyers earning around $40,000 to $70,000 annually, depending on financing. And here's something interesting. Lower purchase price means less debt, which means more flexibility. Instead of locking yourself into decades of high payments, you have more room to save, invest, or even pivot your lifestyle later. It's not the flashiest option, but sometimes the smartest financial decisions don't look impressive. They feel comfortable. Cutting your rent in half without cutting your lifestyle sounds unrealistic, until you see how this works. Imagine living in a well-designed home where you share space with others, but everything feels intentional instead of crowded. That's co-living. Instead of taking on the full burden of ownership or rent, you split costs across multiple people, which can significantly reduce your monthly expenses. Compared to buying an apartment where you carry 100% of the financial load, co-living distributes that weight. Monthly costs can drop by 30 to 50% depending on location and setup. Now, this isn't about long-term ownership, it's more of a strategic move. It allows you to save aggressively, reduce financial pressure, and build capital faster. Think of it like training mode in a game. You're minimizing expenses so you can level up financially before making bigger moves later. And sometimes delaying ownership strategically puts you in a much stronger position than rushing into it. Your home doesn't have to stay in one place, and neither should your expenses. Now, here's where things get a little unconventional. RV living. Yes, it sounds like a road trip, but financially, it can make a lot of sense. A decent RV can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000, which is dramatically lower than most apartments. Monthly expenses vary, but many people manage to live on $1,000 to $2,000 per month, including fuel, parking, and maintenance. The income requirement becomes much more flexible here. Instead of needing a high fixed salary, this lifestyle works well with remote work, freelancing, or location-dependent income. You're not tied to one expensive city. You can move based on cost of living, opportunities, or personal preference. It's a completely different way of thinking about home, where flexibility replaces permanence. Some of the smartest living setups don't come from real estate agents. They come from creativity. Now let's talk about one of the most creative options: converted spaces. These include things like vans, shipping containers, converted garages or warehouses. Costs vary widely, but many setups fall between $10,000 to $80,000, depending on how elaborate you go. Compared to apartments, the upfront cost is dramatically lower, and ongoing expenses can be minimal. Income requirements are also significantly reduced, making this option accessible to people who prioritize flexibility over traditional living standards. And here's the key idea. This approach trades conventional expectations for financial freedom. Instead of paying for location, amenities, and status, you're investing in functionality and independence. It's not for everyone, but for the right person, it completely changes the financial equation. It's not glamorous, but financially this might be the strongest move on the list. Now let's talk about the option that doesn't get enough credit: living with family. It might not sound exciting, but financially it can be one of the most powerful moves you can make. Living with family, including extended family or staying with parents until marriage, #single for life, is widely accepted in many Asian, Mediterranean, and Latin American cultures and is often viewed as essential for providing care and building strong family bonds. By reducing or eliminating housing costs, you can redirect thousands of dollars per month towards savings or investments. Let's say you save $1,500 per month by living at home. That's $18,000 per year. In 5 years, that's $90,000, not including any investment growth. Compare that to buying an apartment immediately and taking on debt, interest, and ongoing expenses. Sometimes the fastest way forward is not moving out, it's building a stronger financial base first. Apartments age and wear down. Land plays a completely different game. This might sound old-fashioned, but instead of buying an apartment, try buying land. Because here's something people don't always think about. Apartments can depreciate over time, especially as buildings age, while land tends to hold or increase its value. Land prices vary widely, but in some areas you can find plots starting from $20,000 to $100,000 plus dollars, depending on location. Income requirements are generally lower because purchase price is lower, and financing can be more flexible. Now combine this with options like tiny homes or modular housing, and you start building something that is both affordable and potentially appreciating. It's like owning the foundation instead of renting space within someone else's structure. Owning isn't always winning, especially when your money could be growing somewhere else. And finally, let's talk about a strategy that sounds counterintuitive: not buying at all. Instead of locking your money into an apartment, you rent affordably and invest the difference. For example, rent $1,500 a month. Apartment ownership cost $2,500 a month. That $1,000 difference invested consistently can grow significantly over time. This approach requires discipline because you're choosing long-term growth over immediate ownership. But financially, it can outperform traditional buying in certain situations, especially when property prices are high and returns are uncertain. It's like choosing to build your financial engine first before committing to a fixed asset. And now you know, every alternative here does one thing better than apartments. They reduce financial pressure, increase flexibility, or create income opportunities. Apartments, especially in expensive markets, often lock you into high upfront costs, long-term debt, and limited flexibility, while these alternatives shift the equation in different ways, whether it's lowering costs, generating income, or accelerating savings. So, are you ready to say goodbye to apartment dreams and say hello to leveling up your homeowning game?